that weren't his own. He's done Leatherface, and then he's done Poltergeist, and then he did Freddy, and then he's done this, that, and the other. He stayed mostly within horror and some sci-fi, but he managed to make the genre his own. And I mean, I think it's great to leave, to leave a note like this, as powerful as it is, with you guys. When I was in college, I took a film class, and we had a book by Carol Clover, who's a very well-known, renowned author, called Men, Women, and Chainsaws: Gender in the Modern Horror Film. That book would not exist without Tobe Hooper.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I mean, a lot of things. It was just so important, and I don't want to feel like we're beating that point home, but I feel like we need to, because I don't know if I always worry that people in our generation aren't going to realize the greatness of some of these people, because, like I said, if Scream 4 can't even do well at the theaters, it makes me wonder what the future of horror is,
Well, hopefully the remake of it will help revive some interest in what appears to be somewhat of a dying, genre. Because, I've actually read a few reviews of that one, and a few people have compared it as being as great as the original Nightmare on Elm Street, which is high praise. I mean, that's high praise to me. That shows me, and gives me just all the gumption in the world to want to go see it. And they made it their own. I mean, obviously you can't replace Tim Curry, but there's something to be said for this performance, because I have read over 20 to 30 different reviews, and not one of them have had a bad thing to say about it. We're talking Chicago Tribune. We're talking all across the states. They've seen the early showings of it, the critics have, and they're calling it a masterpiece, one of the best horror films in recent years. And they don't throw that around very often, because it's not something that needs to be thrown around very often. There's not a lot of really good horror out.
No, there's not, and we need it badly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I think it can do it, because Eli Roth even said, I read somewhere, he said that it looked like it was going to be everything he hoped it would be, and then some. And Adam Green and all the others like that are hailing it, as a triumph, and they're looking forward to it. Stephen King even said he loved where they went with it. He's seen it, and obviously he wrote the book on it, so it's, if it gets praise from him, then I think they did the job right.
Yeah. Faux show. Well, Vic, do you have anything else you wanted to add about the passing of the great Tobe Hooper?
Man, I think I pretty much said my piece. Rest in peace, and I guess I'll see you when I see you. Maybe one day I'll get him to sign that poster.
In some life, let's hope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. Yep. Rest in peace, Tobe Hooper. You will be sorely missed by an entire generation, more than an entire generation of fans, and thank you for everything you've done, and I hope that your next journey is as awesome as this one was.
Toby, I just want you to remember, buddy, the Saul is family.
The Saul is family.
Yes, it is.
That's me taking a drink. That's me taking a drink for Tobe Hooper. But you know what, guys? Let's kind of go into something a little upbeat now, okay? So, Vic, wasn't yesterday Ed Gein's birthday? I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
No. Well, no, 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
2 days ago. 2 days ago.
Yeah. 2 days ago.
2 days ago was Ed Gein's birthday, so he would have been, 111 today? So, happy birthday, Ed Gein.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Wow.
So we go from the tribute about Tobe Hooper, who did a movie loosely based on Ed Gein, to a movie that is heavily based on Ed Gein, I would say, even though they don't use the name Ed Gein. We're talking about Deranged, Confessions of a Necrophile from 1974. And you guys, I have to tell you, I want this fucking poster with Robert's Blossom on it, with the chick hanging upside down, and it says, "Pretty Sally Mae died a very unnatural death, but the worst hasn't happened to her yet." That's good shit. So grimy. You know what I mean? It's just so fucking, I don't know, horrendous.
Yeah.
This movie didn't come out on DVD until March 5th, 2014. It came out in 1974, Vic. 1974, the year of the chainsaw and the year of Ed Gein, obviously. And Ed Gein wasn't even dead yet when this movie came out. And this movie actually came out before Texas Chainsaw. Came out February 1974. So it beat Chainsaw by a few months, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It did, and it's funny because you don't really. I mean, I don't ever hear anybody talk about this movie. I wouldn't have heard about it other than the fact that I'm just a hardcore horror fan. Let's be honest, and a serial killer fan.
Yeah. I never heard of it until you said we're doing it.
All right, so I won't go as detailed with this plot synopsis as I do with a lot of them. So let's kind of get into it. The movie starts off with actually. Before I do that, let me go ahead and throw out the usual bullshit that I throw out on a movie. It gets a 6.5 on IMDb. Pretty fucking high. Obviously, it was rated R. And I don't have any info on budget, I don't think. It had like a $200,000 budget. Jesus, micro budget. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's less than Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween was $300,000 if I remember correctly.
You are correct. Vic, do you remember what Chainsaw's budget was?
I really don't. Not off the top of my head.
Let me check real quick. I'm going to check real quick just to compare. Okay. Vic's going to look up the Chainsaw budget. But, yeah, this movie, like I said, came out the same year as Chainsaw and several months earlier. And it stars Robert Blossom. By the way, Vic, guess what I am wearing tonight?
What's that?
South Bend Shovel Slayer for Robert's Blossom.
That's awesome.
For anybody who doesn't know and you've watched this movie and you don't know who Robert's Blossom is, he played the South Bend Shovel Slayer, or whatever the fuck his name was, in Home Alone. And he was the one that was looking in on the kids in the window and he was jerking off when they were in there. Remember that? Isn't that what happened?
No. Yeah.
That would have been a little more R-rated Home Alone, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's not how it happened?
I guess not. I don't know. So anyway, this movie Deranged opens up, and you've got Ezra Cobb, Ed Gein. And by the way, I think the fact that Ed Gein was still alive is why they couldn't call it, or maybe they just wanted to do more with it. But it's kind of weird that this movie's like about Ed Gein, but they just didn't use the name. I don't get it. Blake, do you know why they would do that?
Well, it probably, honestly, and this is going to sound weird, but, I have a background in, criminal psychology and abnormal psychology. I think what it was because he was still alive and his crimes were so grotesque and gruesome and grisly and just everything that they wanted to keep out of, mainstream American knowledge and culture, they called it something, else in order to not, entice people to go, well, who's Ed Gein? And then proceed to look up and get details on his, horrendous killing spree. And I think that's mostly the reason they did that. It makes sense because, honestly, even if they would have done it, I don't think it would have made a difference because right after this movie came out, it disappeared and it wasn't discovered again until like the early to mid-1990s. Somewhere in Florida, it was found. There was a print that was found of it. So, it just was one of those that was kind of banned outright in a lot of places. And I think it was riding the heels of Last House on the Left because during that period, 72 to 78, there were a lot of movies that came out that were kind of blacklisted, sort of like, Day of the Woman or, for those of us who like the other title, I Spit on Your Grave. There was The Hills Have Eyes. There were Last House on the Left. There was Deranged. There were a few others that were like that. And I think it was just the period and the time. And they were trying to, I think, in a weird way, sort of protect people from knowing what exactly was the real thing. That and the fact that Necrophile doesn't necessarily describe anything about Ed Gein. Not really. I mean, in one sense of the word, being obsessed with death, yes. But necrophiliac is in, the act of sex with the corpse, I don't think that fits his, any of his modus operandi. It doesn't fit his, pattern really.
Yeah, he said they smelled too bad. It's true.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, this movie opens up. You get like a Rod Serling style narrator, and he's kind of in this movie multiple times.
Okay, the chainsaw budget was $300,000.
Okay, so this was even lower than Chainsaw.
Wow.
Hang on, fellas. Blake, you talk for a minute, and Vic, I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, Vic. So what you got? What's your thoughts? Did you watch the film, buddy?
I did. I watched it probably about 2 hours before we came on the air.
Fresh in your mind, then, I guess. It's been many years since I've seen it. I haven't had a chance to revisit it, but it was one of those that I had a respect for, in a sort of way. But it's also one of those that I realize not many people are going to be open to watching it, and I think that's part of what made me want to see it more. Is because it was something that was so grotesquely upsetting to a lot of people.
You can say that. You can say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it was one of those films, like I said earlier, from 72 to 78, we got a handful of them that people just walked out of the theater on. They just were like, this is trash. This is scary. It's disgusting. It's this, that, and the other. But it was scary because they were refusing to admit that was in themselves. People did these things. People still probably do these things in undeveloped countries and stuff like that. Cannibalism and necrophilia and murder and dismemberment. I mean, that happens every single day somewhere in this world. It's happening. Yep. It's not a dying art form.
Yep. So anyway, I'm back. Sorry, I had a child yelling, and I don't know where the wife is. Anyway, so I had to run up there and take care of that real quick. But I'm back. And okay, so Sienna, quit biting yourself, retard. Anyway, okay. Back to back to the movie. Anyway, the movie opens up with the Rod Serling style narrator, and you get Ezra Cobb, and he's like taking care of his mom who's deathly ill. She's got her own room, and apparently he's like devoted his entire life to taking care of her. And we get this weird ass fucking scene where he's bringing her, got you a nice soup, mama, nice and hot, and he thinks that's like the cure to everything because she's like obviously on her deathbed. And he's like, here, eat some of the soup. And she's like, I'm dying, Ezra. And she goes, I want you to know, though, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she was like, the only one you can trust is such and such name because she's fat. She's fat pig. I was like, good Lord, what is wrong with her? Yeah, basically she said that women give you the syphilis and the herpes and the clap. And that's what they're going to do to you. So it is kind of similar to, from what I understand, to Ed Gein because, I mean, his mom fucked him all up as far as from what I understand. Or if you're Timothy Mark, who was on our show about Ed Gein, he told you that Ed Gein fucked his mom. I don't know that that's true, but it's funny to think about.
That guy was weird, man.
And now he's dead or something. I don't know what he is, but.
Well, last time I talked to him, he went on like a month image, but I don't know if he's alive anymore.
I assume he's dead. So, Ezra Cobb, he starts trying to feed his mom. He's like trying to force feed his mom the soup because it's going to make her feel better. And this shit looks nasty. It looks like what Regan threw up in The Exorcist. This green pea soup. And she starts choking and like she's spitting out blood. So she's like spitting out blood, and he's trying to like scoop in the blood and the soup back into her mouth, and then she just fucking dies, and that's the end of Ma Cobb. And the next scenes are Ezra at a funeral, and people are talking to him, and you can tell it just doesn't really sink in, that she's dead. He's just not understanding it. Ezra is a little bit of what do you call him, Vic? A mongoloid?
I don't know if I'd call him a mongoloid. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not sure how to describe it. But just because.
I love how by proxy.
Yeah, exactly. I love how how his mom said that, like, you're such a good-looking man, and then it shows him, and he's looking all just horrible looking. I don't know how to explain it. It was just funny. This movie's got a lot of dark humor in it.